So Ivan, I met probably 15 months ago. I was at another conference and Ivan was speaking at the conference. Now, I didn't know Ivan at the time. And I guess, like you guys, I was sitting in the audience thinking, okay, I'm looking forward to this. I don't know what to expect. Ivan was one of the best speakers I've ever heard present on a stage in front of 300 people it was at the time. And I've never met someone who's so engaging and just makes so much sense of things that you can take and implement into your business tomorrow. Okay, so I know you are going to enjoy our opening presentation. We have all known the high value and the positive impact of good customer service and focused salespeople. This presentation will move your thinking onto a new and exciting place. Ivan specialises in showing businesses how to give customers an experience as they can't get anywhere else, so they won't go anywhere else.
Righto, that'll do you. Thank you very much. You're killing me.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Ladies, put your hands together. Good on you, Frangi, guys. Thank you.
Folks, have any of you ever been to a presentation where the introduction turned out to be the highlight of the speaker's presentation? I mean, that introduction could have been written by my mother. And by the time the presenter gets up there, you're thinking, nobody could be that good. Now, here's the other challenge. The marketing doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter whatever's said about me before I start. It's what happens in the next 90 minutes between you and I that makes a difference, isn't it? So you can hear all the introductions in the world, everything can be fantastic, fabulous and wonderful before I get here. And then when I get here, if I suck, you're going to go, well, the marketing didn't match the experience. Now, here's the challenge. It's exactly what happens in your business. In your business, you can market whatever you like, and then it's the promise of what you deliver. It's the gap between the promise you make and the delivery of what you do that creates what we call the customer experience. Would you agree with that? Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to have a chat to a couple of the people around you, and I want you to ask them, what is customer experience? Not customer service. What is customer experience? So please ask the people around you, and I'll come back and get some feedback in a minute. We'll have our microphone fairies run around. Okay. Okay, folks, let's find out what you've got. Let's find out what you've got. Now, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to change things a little bit. What I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to take a hand, point a finger towards the ceiling, don't bend your elbow. Take a hand, point a finger towards the ceiling, don't bend your elbow. Everybody, please, come on. Please point to the leader of your table. There you go. Congratulations. You've just been democratically elected the leader. You are now the spokesperson for your table. Well done. Congratulations. They obviously thought you were responsible. So, everybody starts at the front. I'm going to start at the back. So, or in fact, no, just where you are, Stephen. That'd be great. Who is the spokesperson for this table, please? Thank you. Oh, well, now they're all dodging it. There we are. So what did you come up with in terms of the difference between service and experience?
Well, the service is more the transaction at the sale. The experience is the thought of the consumer after the sale. And
sorry, run that by me again.
The experience of the consumer after the sale, their experience is them becoming a promoter of your business if they've had a good one.
Right, so they become advocates if it's a good experience.
Yeah.
Okay, all familiar with the term advocates? Okay, fantastic. Now, what else? Anything else?
No, we thought we covered it with that.
Right, okay. Obviously a group of high achievers. Right. Could we go here next? Thank you. And I'll just see if I can scribble on this thing so that we can get excited. That's all right. I'll scribble when I've got a pen. Thank you. Where are we?
Oh, we had a similar thing. That,
oh, great. Sit down.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, we just said, if you had did a great job, but the experience was bad, like you weren't.
Yeah.
The way you communicated with the customer, if that was bad, then they've had a bad experience anyway.
Okay.
If you did a rubbish job, or a nice bloke, it's still not matching the service to the expectations.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Next table, please. Oh, there's a pen. Fantastic. Okay. Is it a whiteboard marker? Boardmaster. Yes, it is. It's obviously... Okay. So we have, it's the advocacy process. And it's also, I can't spell by the way, does that say advocacy?
Yeah. Very close.
Yeah, okay. I'm a speaker, not a writer. And you said it was what happens afterwards. Is that right? No, you said it's the balance between what happens during and okay, so it's the balance. Right, okay, thank you.
At our table,
Please rise to your hind legs so we can all see you.
Mike Leask here. At our table here,
Mike, sorry, what is your business, by the way? Let's everybody introduce each other while
I'm
they're
just a bit of a consultant running around doing all sorts of things at the moment.
there. A bit of a consultant. Right, okay.
Yeah, sort of floating at the moment.
Floating, you're between assignments.
Yeah, I'm deep into
Investigating opportunities. Oh, I get that. Okay, fantastic.
I'm undercover.
Oh, right. Okay, well, stay incognito and...
We decided that a customer experience is a summary of their perception,
Yep.
their expectation,
Oh, God.
and their satisfaction.
Perception,
Perception's obviously before you've dealt with them.
expectation.
Expectation is when you've begun dealing with them, and satisfaction is the result of your
Yep.
delivery.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Can you remind me, if I don't do it, to talk about satisfaction? It's really important. Thank you very much. This group here, who's the leader?
Rod Bryant's my name. I'm from Bartercard.
Thanks.
We came up with it was the feeling. It's the feeling that someone gets after doing business with you. That's the experience.
Right. That's just it, Your Honour. It's the feeling. It's the whole. It's the constitution. Okay.
It's not so much the journey. It was the way you felt after you'd completed the journey.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. It'll relate to satisfaction in a minute. Thank you very much. Who's the leader of this exciting group here? Thank you,
Tony from Wave FM. Our group thought that for us the customer experience was simply how that client felt about dealing with our company
At what point?
from the very beginning,
Okay.
right through to the very end.
Right. So it's kind of beginning to end.
Yeah, and it was a partnership. They
Right.
wanted it to be a partnership.
Right. How many of you have ever wanted to be a partnership and you've been treated like a customer? Because they promised you partnership, but then you end up getting treated like a customer. Because when you invoke the partnership, they go, I'm sorry, you're a customer. Next. Thank you. A select group, who is that? That's fantastic, thank you. Thanks,
I
John.
was nominated this time.
Well done. We might have other nomination opportunities, you never know. And if you go to the same barber like the last presenter who spoke, like me, then, you could get more opportunities, but you're just overachieving in the hair department.
That's called a reverse mohawk.
A reverse mohawk, is it? Okay, fair enough. Now,
My name's Baden. I have the Normandy Motel down the road. We don't compete with these guys. We're in another market. We're in a boutique market.
Right.
These guys actually send people down to us.
I wish I'd known about you last night, and please remind me to tell you about my experience.
Okay.
Okay.
I can go on experience myself. John.
Oh, really?
Yes, John
Oh,
does
okay.
clean my motel, and he does a good job.
Yes.
He came across like a friend. Well, we're introduced through Bartercard, so we're like a little knit community anyway.
Yes.
And his staff did a good job, and they were immaculate, and they've got the willingness to do it really good in a quick time. They also turn
Right.
up when they say they will.
So for you, it was a good experience?
Yeah, and also
Okay.
another thing about them, they don't treat you like a customer.
Okay.
They come more like friends.
Okay. Hope they don't leave like some of my friends, but that's
Yeah,
good.
but,
Thank
If
you.
you're doing business,
Yeah.
you do business with friends before you do business with someone else. Really.
Certainly if you're Jewish. Absolutely. Thank you. Who's next? We've been down there?
Who we got? Down the bottom here.
Yes? Well, at the back. I wouldn't say down the bottom. That's...
Hi, Andrew from Creative Visions Print and Design.
Thank you, Andrew.
We concluded that the customer service is bending over backwards for the client throughout the transactional process, but the customer experience is the emotions from the moment you pick up the phone to answer their phone call.
Right.
And continue
Emotions
throughout the whole
from...
process.
Emotions from phone. Okay. Contact. So, in other words, yeah, okay, that's fine. I got that. Thank you. This will be the last one down there, will it? Have we done the back table yet? No. Yes? No? Right down the back, Steve.
Brian from FinCare Accounting.
Thank you.
We were saying the customer service is really what you're delivering face to face. The experience is everything, from how you invoice, what your carpets look like, every possible perception that you have of the organisation as you deal with it. And if they're all in a line, then it's a great experience. If there's a disconnect between different parts of it, then the experience starts to fall apart.
I think you're all pretty right. And let me ask you a question. What's the similarity between... Who's ever been to an Apple shop? Who's got an Apple product or been to an Apple shop? What's the experience like? Just shout it out. What's the... when you get in there, are they friendly? Do they look after you? Do they ask you to buy anything? No, they don't. Part of their process. Is it a good experience? Who's ever been to the Genius Bar? Got 20 minutes of free service, and what do you end up doing before you leave? Buy something. Thank you very much, but it's a free service. Who's ever checked into a hotel like this? Okay. Who's ever boarded an aircraft? Right? Who's ever been to a theme park? Okay. What do they all have in common? They're very different types of businesses. Well, it's actually more than customer service, and this is the thing. Would you expect that if you got on an aircraft, whether you're in first class, business class or any other class, and if you got on that aircraft today and you got on it tomorrow and you got on it the day after, would you expect a similar kind of experience? So it would happen pretty much the same way every time. Okay. If you went to a hotel like this and you booked in, would you expect a similar kind of process every time? If you went to the Apple shop, would you expect a similar kind of process every time? You would. Now, here's the thing. These are what we call choreographed experiences. Somebody has started at the beginning and worked through, as some of you said, they've started way before the phone call. It's the website. It's what you find on the web before we start. It's how you find us on the web to go to the website so that you can make the phone call, so that you might even come in, so that you'll do business with us, so that we can then sell you something and become a long-term customer. Is that fair enough? Now, the difference between most businesses I work with and normal businesses, most businesses I work with and the businesses we mentioned is, most businesses don't have a properly choreographed experience. What they have is a set of experiences that often work very well, and they may not be choreographed. Now, here's how you know. How do you know the difference? Well, you know because if somebody good leaves, everybody suffers. Because that person was just delivering something that nobody else did and nobody's reproduced it. Any of you in the franchise business of any type? Yes? Okay. A franchise business is designed to be, somebody thinks about how we do it, we take that and we stamp it in lots of places so that I was working with the Bank of Melbourne for a number of years and we had a philosophy, and the philosophy was different face, same answer, same experience. So if you ask somebody different in the organisation a question, you got the same answer and the same experience, but the face may change. Does that make sense? So what are we going to be doing today? Now, one of these is mine and one of them's not. That one's mine. Okay, fantastic. What are we going to be doing today? Today we're going to be having a look behind the curtain. So what that means is I'm going to break down some of the things we talk about in terms of customer experience. I'm going to give you 5 things that you can actually do as a result of this program, because I sat down and I thought, you know what, if I was going to sit where you are and I had invested my time, energy and probably some money in being here, I'd want something I can take away. Would you agree with that? Because I remember, I still am a business person who goes to programs, and what I look for is the takeaway. Next thing we're going to do is have a look at 2 guaranteed profit questions. Do any of you have do any of you have competitors? Right. Would you like to know how to get business from your competitors every single time you pitch to a new client? Yes? I will guarantee to do that before we leave. Before I finish, sorry. We will go fast. I go pretty fast, and that's pretty exciting. So would you agree that customer experience is vital? That customer experience really is where we kind of go. Now, experience changes. I'm working with people in the printing industry. Do we have any printers here at the moment? Printers, fantastic. Would you agree that your industry is changing? I'm doing some work at the moment with Hewlett-Packard worldwide. And I've just been working with a group of people that have these digital machines called an Indigo. Are you familiar with an Indigo? About $650,000 to $2 million for one of these printers. And they were trying to figure out, is paper still relevant? So I wanted to kind of illustrate to you that the market is changing and some things are still very relevant.
Emma. Huh? Emma. 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 Emma.
Nouveau le trèfle maxifeuille, vraiment plus large.
Look, there's lots of stuff happening in the marketplace which is all about all sorts of things, and in the end result it still comes back to how we communicate with each other. Now that communication may well be electronic, it may well be physical, it may well be a whole range of things, and it still comes back to the communication. How many of you have been affected by web shopping in a positive or negative way? In other words, your business has been impacted by it. Look, it's a series of experiences. It's just a different experience. And I want to give you some advice and information about that before we go. So this program is called, or this presentation is called, How to Turn Your Customers into Your Sales Team, because that's really what I want to do. So I'm going to take this off so we can get down to action. That's as much as I take. I wanted to show you I've just lost 45 kilos, so I'm really excited about that. Now, here we go. Yeah, you can clap later when I've lost the other 20. Okay. Here's what people need to do. Would you agree? And somebody mentioned it while we were talking. You want advocates in your business, is that fair enough? You want people who are going to talk positively about your business in the marketplace. Now, their level of advocacy is either going to be low or it's going to be high. Now, there's a measure for this called NPS. How many of you are familiar with NPS? Net Promoter Score. How many of you have ever been to Telstra or Westpac or somewhere and they ask you at the end of the call, would you rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how we looked after you today, and what's your likelihood on a scale of 1 to 10 to refer us to somebody else in the future? That's called your Net Promoter Score. So very simply what they do is they take all the number of people that said 9 and 10, they're the promoters. They take all the people that go 1 to 4, depending on the business, and then they play silly buggers with the number in the middle. And then what you end up with is the net number of people that promote you. Now, you could have more detractors than promoters, but that's okay. I'll show you some interesting stuff later about how that works. Now, you also have a product or service or both. And your product or service or both is either going to be a commodity or it's going to be differentiated. Would you agree with that? So it's either going to be down the end of it's a product, everybody buys it pretty standardly, or it's going to be differentiated. And here's the thing that people miss out on, and this was the bit that I did some research on, because I got a bit frustrated. And I got a bit frustrated because what I found was that people were talking to me about advocacy, but nobody told me how it worked. Nobody could give me the bones of the construction of advocacy. Like, if you could actually create more people that were promoting your business, would that be good? Okay. Would you like some of those people to be in this room? Great, you better network your socks off before you finish tomorrow. They're fantastic, excellent. And I wanted to congratulate you on... I just want to say something about Wollongong. Exhibit A, it's pretty impressive. And I liken people in Wollongong and Newcastle to New Zealanders. And I mean that in a really good way. And the reason I say that is that you don't have the natural advantage of market size. Would you agree with that? So what does that force people to do? What are New Zealanders really good at? Now, New Zealanders, by the way, have nothing. Like, they've got no industry. They've got sheep and butter. I mean, that's about it. They've got lovely stuff you can go and have a look at. But what are New Zealanders known for? No, coming over here, yes. Playing rugby league for our teams, yeah. When you look at New Zealanders generally, they're very innovative. They're like people from Singapore. People in Singapore have nothing. They don't even have water. They have to pipe the water in Singapore. They've got nothing. No natural resources, nothing to take out of the ground, and they become the centre of activity. Why? Because they were forced to be innovative. One of the things I love when I talk to people in Newcastle and Wollongong and the smaller centres around Australia is you're forced to be innovative because you've got no choice. You don't have the big markets that everybody else has, so you work out better ways to do things. And it's just an advantage that I think sometimes is discounted here in these kinds of markets. Because sometimes there's that, as Stephen mentioned, that's kind of, well, we're not the big Sydney market. Fantastic. You don't have the confusion of the big Sydney market. You have the community opportunity of a smaller market where people can actually get to know you. Penetration into this market is actually easier. And it's potentially also more damaging if you don't get the experience right, because more people know. So we're going to talk about that right now. Okay, now, there are 3 levels of this, and you can make notes if you'd like to. There are 3 levels of this. The first level is, and what the customer values is either going to be not significant or highly significant. Would you agree with that? Now, what is the customer value? Well, we'll talk about that in a second. But the first level of this is what people use. The first level of this is what people use. Milk. How many different types of milk are there on the market? Yeah, it's over 40. It's about 47, something like that. And would you agree that milk is a fairly commodity product? You go down to the shop, you buy it, it's in every fridge, it's not hard to find, and it's become more of a commodity product because? No, because Coles and Woolworths are having a fight over it and charging $2 for the same thing that you buy at the corner shop for much more. It's become more of a commodity product. Would you agree with that? So, by the way, I studied body language with Alan Pease. This is yes, that's no. Tough questions in a minute. Okay, now, milk is a commodity product. And how do you define a commodity product? Well, you define a commodity product pretty much by it's not significant and it is a commodity. So it's pretty much bought on price. Need and price. So everybody needs it, but it's a price-driven product and we can get it anywhere. Are there people that have been able to differentiate some milk? Yes, they are. So, some time ago, my wife decided that our son, Josh, was sniffling at night and he was, getting a bit blocked up. And so she decided to chat to the board of directors, the senior advisors, otherwise known as the girls with whom she lunches. And she checked in with them to get their information and advice, a very august group of people who'd had years of experience raising children. She said, Josh is sniffling at night and he's kind of almost snoring, and they said, well, it could be milk. There's this thing in the milk called caseinate, and caseinate sometimes can give you a bit of, cough, and some people can be a bit reactive to it. And they said, you might need to change the milk. Okay, so what do you think she changed to? A1, congratulations. It's still from a cow. So we use A1 now, but at the time we didn't. He's older now. What do you reckon? Soy? My wife is very health conscious and decided that there was too much estrogen in soy. She didn't want man boobs on a 4-year-old. Sorry? Who said that? Congratulations, sir. You win a book for saying that. Thank you very much. Goat's milk. Well done. Thank you. Now, is it a situation that if you want to go to buy goat's milk, you're going to have to change some things? Can you buy goat's milk everywhere? No. Is it more expensive? Yes. Are you prepared to pay for it? Yes. Well, depending on how significant. Now, is this moving up the significance scale because it affects her son? Yes? Okay, so we're now in the section where people choose. Here, they use you. When you move your product along the differentiation scale or your service, they're more likely to choose you. As you move it up what the customer values, they're more likely to choose you. And the advocacy goes up. Why? Because she went back and reported to the girls. It's going pretty well. So she became an advocate for goat's milk because the significance was having an impact. Part of the stuff of significance is what's the impact? How does it work? Okay? Now, the girl said, is it really working? She said, well, it's kind of working. Like he's not as bad as he used to be. And they said, you might need to go to the next level. What do you think the next level is? Go to Facebook. Oh, ask Facebook. Oh, right, okay. Ask Facebook. Okay, yes. Social proof it. Okay. What else? I'm sorry? Rice milk. No, just allergy testing. Yes. What's the upgrade to goat's milk? No, there's an upgrade to goat's milk. No. You've got bog standard goat's milk and then you have Who said organic? Thank you very much. Organic goat's milk. You get a book for that. I tell you what. Organic goat's milk. I was so excited when I heard about organic goat's milk, I've got to tell you. Now, organic goat's milk. Is it likely to be in a different place to the normal goat's milk? Is it likely to be more expensive? Does she have to change her behaviour to go to somewhere different, to actually physically have to go and get this stuff, to pay more money, to be more inconvenient, and then come back and brag about it? Because it worked. She went back to the girls and said, it's working. Now, be very careful about what's happening here. Is this product differentiated? Is it still a commodity product in some people's eyes? Right. Now, is it significant? Yes, because Josh has stopped sniffling. Absolutely, it's significant. As the significance rises and the differentiation increases, the advocacy goes up. And you can change any of those scales and it affects all of the others. Now, here's the point of what I'm trying to tell you. Most people don't worry about changing significance. They just keep pumping their product out the door. And in a lot of cases, you have a standard product and the difference in the significance you create is how you deliver the product, not the product itself. Is that fair enough? Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. So, what we've got to do next is we've got to have a look at how many of you have high quality in your product? Who's got a high quality product or service? Who's got a high quality product or service? Good quality. Who's got good service? Right, so, sorry, let me just go back. High quality. Who's got high quality? Have a look around. Have a look around. Everybody. Right. Who's got good service? Bugger. Who's got good prices, like you're competitively priced in the market? Not so many, but pretty much most of you. Here's the problem. It's not going to work anymore because pretty much everybody's got it. So just doing that stuff, well, if that's the only way that you're going to do things, guess what happens? What becomes the big issue? Price. Why is the internet forcing things down in price? Well, easy to shop around and the customer experience is all the same. You look at a page. You look at a page and how do they differentiate? They can keep the prices down because they don't have the overheads. They still have lots of infrastructure. You reckon that Amazon doesn't have overheads? Amazon's the world's biggest company that ships things online. They have mega centres that hold all of their stock and product so they can deliver it quickly. They have overheads. They also have volume. So the trade-off for volume, the trade-off for overheads is volume. Okay, so all I'm trying to say to you is if that's what you're working on, your advantage is not probably all it used to be. Now, what is significance? Significance is about the aesthetics. What does it look like? It's about the utility. How does it work? And it's about the meaning. Does it impact? So, the aesthetics. I put up an iPod there because Apple products, everybody knows, you want to pick them up and play with them. They're beautifully designed. The aesthetics works. It doesn't matter whether it's a printed product, whether it's a product that you deliver, whether it's even a soft product like a service or a consulting. It's still the aesthetics of how your material looks, what your website looks like, all of that stuff. Utility, does it work? And is it the way it's supposed to? And meaning is, does it have any impact? Like, does it make any difference to people? Would you consider that the meaning for my wife with the milk for Josh was very high? Yes, so that's why the advocacy went up. And it works on all kinds of products as well. Now, how many different types of water are there? How many different types of non-alcoholic soft drink are there on the market? 249 currently. That could change any second. How many different types of water? Over 50. Over 50 of water. Now, I've got a question for you. How do you differentiate water? Seriously, water. I mean, they've tried it here and they've said, look, we've got little special packs and we've got this one here. We've got Powerade, we've got MyZone, we've got H2Go. It's all very exciting stuff. How do you differentiate something? How many of you have a relatively commodity product that the market might see as a commodity product that you can pretty much get it? What is your business, sir? Bread. Oh gosh, that's one of the great boutique industries of the world. And you're not in the boutique section? Okay, what do you do?
With bakery, retail bakery, with wholesale bakery as well.
We're not...
Cakes and pies.
How can you be just a bakery?
Because that's how everyone sees it.
But you can't be just... No, please, can I work with you on this? You can't be just a bakery. Do you have a fan at the back that blows the smell out the door?
No.
Why not?
Because it's probably a bit complex for our setup.
No, you know you got a desk fan.
Yeah, yeah.
You just blow the air out.
Because our production's in one town, our shop's in a different town.
Ah, okay. Right. Could you put some bread in an oven in your new shop?
We get plenty of aroma.
Is it good aroma?
Yeah.
Oh, good, okay. Because I'm just wondering if it's like taxi aroma.
No.
No, good, okay. Would you agree there's no such thing as just a baker?
Yeah.
Why? And it's a tactile product. You taste it, you smell it, you feel it, you interact. How many of you interact with bread? Like seriously, I went into now I know I've just lost 45 kilos, I'm a bread expert. But does it make sense that it's something you actually interact with? And it's then the customer experience of how you deliver it. I'll show you how to do that a little later with an example of a coffee shop. Now, how do you differentiate water? Some people have tried. I saw this one recently, it was organic water. Now, I did question what water was not organic. I did think about that. This one was interesting. This is calm water. I took this in a pet store. It's terribly sorry for the blurred vision. This is calm water you give to your dog. You pay about $6 a litre for this stuff. There's one for cats in case you're a moggy lover. And you give this to you, and people are lining up to buy this stuff, you know, like it's fine. These guys just said, you know what, too hard. Just another bloody water. This was one of my favourites. This is pure Lombok. It's Australia's only 100% certified halal and organic water. Now, I realised that how they get halal water, which for those of you, it may as well be kosher water, but for those of you that are familiar with halal, that's for the Muslims, and I figured out what happens is that the tap faces Mecca. I realised that that's actually what happens. Now, I need to just, before we get too excited, I need to give you some of my ethnic background. You didn't get that in the opening because I stopped it. I have a Jewish Egyptian father and a Scottish Catholic mother, and I spent 7 years at a Church of England boarding school, and lots of years of therapy after that. But so I can, you know, I'm multicultural. In fact, I was sitting on a train recently. This was interesting how your perception works. What is significance to people? I was sitting on a train. I bought a new car, and I had to go out to buy it, to pick it up at Rydalmere. So I thought, well, I can't drive out there because I'll have 2 cars. That'll be silly. So I got on the train, and I'm sitting on the train, and I thought, this is such a multicultural society. There was not what I'd call the token Australian left on the train. I mean, it was very multicultural. And I sat there thinking, gosh, look at all these people from all these different countries. I'm not sure I fit in here. And then I realised that if somebody walked through the carriage, they'd look at me, and they'd go, you're one of them. And I mean them in a nicer sense. Does that make sense? And I thought, isn't it interesting? Because my parents, my father's family were refugees. Effectively, when Egypt collapsed, they brought out here on a family, you know, unity, what do they call it? Family reunion. My mother was from England. They met and married here. I was manufactured here from imported parts. I consider myself an Australian, but on that train carriage, I felt I was different. And then I realised I wasn't at all different. I looked very ethnic. So people who hadn't spoken to me would see that, would just, you know, put me in that category. And then I got excited. Because then I got excited. I thought, all these people are going to have kids who are going to be like me. They're going to think Australia's the best place in the world, and we're all going to add something to it because our cultural background will bring lots of stuff. And I got excited. Significance. Very important. You've got a nice smile. Thank you very much. Now, Ed, that I was standing right on top of you and feeling threatening, and you thought, I better not offend this bloke. Okay, now, here's what's happening in some of the areas. I have an app on my phone called Get Price. Do you know what you do with it? You go into a store and you scan the barcode, and the barcode will tell you, and the app will tell you where you can buy that product more competitively and cheaper. Or you can deliver a great experience where it doesn't matter. This is some of the stuff I had to look at a camera. I went in the other day to Myer. I don't mind doing it to the big department stores. I went into Myer, bought some headphones, wireless headphones for travelling, and I said to the guy, look, do you price match? Yes. I said, well, I can buy this product here cheaper somewhere else. He said, yes. I said, look, I'm not going to ask you to price match the price I have, because the price I have you could never compete with. They were $179 or something. I could buy them on the net for $103. But I couldn't buy them immediately. And I said to the fellow, look, do you have any flexibility? He said, sort of. I said, well, if you have some flexibility, I'll buy them right now. So for $169, I bought them immediately instead of waiting. Or he could have let me go out the door. Which is best? Any of you ever used What If? The last minute hotel service? I used it last night. Fantastic. Better sell what you've got. You can only sell it once. The question is, what do you sell it at? Now, depends on your premium product and how you're going. So let's keep going. Some of this stuff, yes, that's all good. Now, how many of you have ever visited a plumber? Well, there was a wiper offerer thing here a minute ago, wasn't there? On the floor? On the door? Okay, that's all right. Do we have a wipe? Oh yeah, just a cloth would be fine. I thought I saw one come up here. Thank you. That's all right. Thank you very much. Ah, works like I bought one. Fantastic. How many of you have ever been to a plumber? Tell me about the experience, or a tradie generally. Tell me about the experience. I'm sorry? Just shout it out.
She'll be right, mate.
She'll be right. Okay, so it's kind of CHELL, I don't know. Be right. Okay, and what else? Somebody else say something? Turn up late. Okay, what else? Oh, they don't turn up at all. Okay. What else? I'm sorry? Casual. You mean they don't dress properly? Oh, they just kind of, yeah, it'll be fine. I'm the tradie, you need me more than I need you. I'll do what I want. That kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Can I ask you what's wrong with the thing before they get there?
Ah, okay. Yep. So they kind of do a bit of a diagnosis. And what's the worst diagnosis you can get? No, it's not a bad thing. What's the worst diagnosis you can get? No, the worst diagnosis sounds like this. And it goes with a nod. Who did this job? And what are you immediately thinking? Ooh, I'm in trouble here. So, diagnosis is not a bad thing. Okay, what else?
Quality service.
They do have it?
Yeah, they certainly do.
Okay, good. Quality service?
You get both.
Yeah, okay. But what else? Tell me about your experience. Jen. I'm sorry? They rip off. So the dollars are high. Sorry? What else?
Get a call-out fee.
Oh, call-out fee. So there are extra fees just for turning up to do. You get that they pay you. You pay them just to come along and tell you that they're going to charge you more. Okay. What else?
I didn't check that we were okay with the outcome before they left.
I'm sorry?
I didn't check for our satisfaction before they left.
Oh, okay. So they just kind of leave it the way it is. So leave it unchecked.
Well, they do the job.
Yeah.
I assume it's okay.
Okay, that's fine. Anything else?
Many times they find other faults.
Ooh, other faults. So they're problem finders. Yeah. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think lots of businesses do that. What else? There's one big one you've left off.
They're sexy.
They're sexy, yeah, shorts. Yeah, there's one other big one. How do they leave the place? A mess. Okay, now, would you agree with me that most people have the left-hand side experience? Yes? Okay, now, some time ago, my wife decided that we needed to have a new sink in the toilet. Why? Because our house in Camaray had an outhouse that had been attached to the house. So the outhouse was a tiny little thing. And people had to leave the toilet to go to the bathroom to wash their hands. And she said, no, that's not it. Now, my wife's an interior designer. So she organised for the plumber to come down, went through her sister, who's also an interior designer, and found the best plumber, said, send me the best guy. So the guy came down, did the job. Then I ring her, because I'm on the road like I am today. I rang her and I said, how's it going? She said, fine. I said, I beg your pardon? She said, fine. I said, oh, is the guy done? Yep. Are you happy with the job? Yep. Was the price okay? Yep. I said, I know I'm a long way away, but you don't sound happy. She said, I have just spent 2 hours cleaning up after the plumber. I said, oh, okay. Now, when I got home, I had a look at the job. It was good. Like, I'm not a plumber. But the guy, you know, it's a single brick wall. He drilled everything nicely. The inside finish looked fantastic. The outside, the pipes had all been welded nicely. And what I also found out was that it had been raining. Now, the house was at the back of the house. So to do the inside and outside work, what did he have to keep doing? Outside, inside, outside, inside. It had been raining. And guess what? The dog thought this was a great thing to follow the plumber in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. My wife is a dirt Nazi. She spent 2 hours cleaning up after this bloke. Let me ask you the question. Did he do a good job? Yes. Absolutely. Is he coming back? No. Based on the experience or the quality of the job? Experience wins. You can have the best quality product in the marketplace. Sorry?
The dirt probably came from the dog.
Yeah, could have. And he's still not coming back. He didn't clean up, didn't do anything. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of product you have and service you have. When we talked earlier about that beginning to end situation, it's every time a customer touches you at any touch point along the way of doing business with you, before, during, after, and forever after. I'm going to show you how to put that together. So, let's have a look from here. Would you agree with that? Okay, now, these are called, pen, he says, these are called breakers and makers. A breaker is anything that damages the customer experience. A maker is anything that enhances the customer experience. It's very easy to find out where these are. What do? Ask your customers. How many of you have, by the way, a robust, reliable, repeatable, cost-effective, always-on customer feedback mechanism? 3. Do you think it might be profitable if you did? Okay, I'll show you how to put one of those together. Now, makers and breakers. Makers enhance the customer experience, breakers damage the customer experience. Sometime later, my wife, we needed a plumber, and my wife went through the paper, spotted an ad in the paper. She said, I want to get that guy next time. Now, for those of you that know Sydney, we live in Camaray. The plumber we spotted was in, or she spotted was in Kellyville. That's like a long distance. So the call-out fee, who mentioned call-out fee? Call-out fee is standard. But anyway, she spotted this guy in the paper, and she said, I want that guy next time. I said, darling, he's in Kellyville. We're in Camaray. We're going to pay a fortune for that. She said, that's fine. I said, but, he's promising to do extra work, and that's going to cost us extra money. She said, that's fine. I said, okay. Now, what she'd spotted was an ad for the clean plumber. High on her significance level. Differentiated. Does she care what the cost is? No, because I said, the guy's going to charge us for cleaning up, he's going to charge us for getting here all that extra distance. And she said, if it means that I don't have to spend 2 hours extra cleaning up after the plumber, and you have to pay a bit extra, that's fine. I went with the advice I got from my father-in-law when I got married. Happy wife, happy life. Bring in the clean plumber. The guy came in, did a brilliant job, but I want to show you something that he does. And this is something that every business needs, and it is called a customer pledge. And it is a way of telling your customers something. I'll explain to you what I'm talking about in terms of what it is you're going to tell them. Okay, now, we'll leave your website cleaner than we found it. We visit you at a time you want. We give you $30 cash back if we're not on time. That has been scrapped. That has been scrapped. I actually asked David Hall, who is the clean plumber, how many times have you given out your $30? He said, not often enough. I said, why? He said, my people have to carry $30 cash in their pocket every time. If they turn up, now when they say they turn up on time, it's a 2-hour window, so it's like between 1 and 3 or 11 and 1, whatever. What do you normally get from a tradesperson? Oh, Monday?
Next week.
Yeah, next week, Monday. What time Monday? Oh, don't know till the jobs come in. So this is very specific. Now, provide you with an experienced qualified plumbing manager for you to speak with. They do the diagnosis, ask you to only pay when you're happy with our work. If you're not happy, you don't pay. How many of you reckon that's a bit gutsy? Guess what? Who's in a franchise business? What a franchise business is based on? Systems. Thank you. They have a system that checks people. Now, I'm going to be here all day. I'm going to be here tonight. So I don't have time to explain all that now, but please come and see me at a break and ask me what's the system. But they have a system that they use to set up, before we give you an account, we go, are you happy? And they ask 3 or 4 questions. Are you happy? Fine, here's your bill. And they don't give you one until you say you're happy. We'll fix your plumbing, give you 24-hour service, use environmentally products, and we'll always wear our clean boots. What are clean boots? These things that David invented. They're like galoshes, made of neoprene. Put them on over your shoes. Why? So if you've got to go out the back and come back in, you can't take your boots off, can you? Why? Feet and get all muddy? No, it's against the law. Occupational health and safety. You drop a sink on your foot without boots on. So he invented these. He now sells about 30,000 pairs of these around the world every year to tradespeople. Invented them. I said, why do they have white soles? He said, Ivan, when people walk away from you, they show you the soles of their feet. We are the clean plumber. Very good. Do you get the idea there's some innovation going on there? Okay, now, now, by the way, the end of the result of this is, these guarantees reflect our commitment to you. Does your current plumber offer these guarantees in writing? What do you reckon the answer to that is? Not a chance. Do you reckon his business is doing well? Quadrupled his business in 3 years. Because he sat down, and now, what's the big difference here? The big difference here, it doesn't say, what? It doesn't say we're cheap. It doesn't even say we're good. It just says we're licensed plumbers. What it does say is this is how we'll treat you. If you're a customer of ours, when you have a look at those, you'll see it just says this is how we'll treat you. If you're a customer of ours, we are defining your experience. Do you know how many businesses define their customer's experience before the customer even gets there? 2/3 of 5/8 of bugger all. What he's also saying is what we don't do. So it's important. Okay. Yes?
Is that on his website?
No. Not in that format. How can you get a copy of that? At the end of the program, I'm going to leave an iPad at the back and you can put your details in and I'll send it to you. Okay? Now, he scrapped the plumbing thing about $30. If we're late, your plumbing's free. How did he get to make that choice? How many reckon that's just potentially insane? He worked out, because he kept statistics, that he was late 15 times over 2 years, where his people were late. He even developed a motorcycle that if they were going to be late, he bought this motorcycle and put some plumbing gear on the back, and so that people, if his guy rang and said, we think we're going to be late, he put somebody on the motorcycle, sent them quick. But the motorcycle kept tipping over because of all the weight in the back of the thing, and so they had to scrap that idea. Do you reckon that is going to attract people? What do you reckon the value of that is? A 14% increase in business. Do you reckon he can cover that by being late a couple of times? Yes, absolutely he can. No problem at all. And yet, how does he do it? Now, he knew that none of his competitors would make a gutsy call like that. But he had the statistics to say 15 times in 2 years, we can manage late. We're okay with late. I rang him about a week after this had happened. I said, how are you going? He said, we lost $420 in Pennant Hills in the traffic. Had to do a free job. I said, how's business? He said, up 9%. How's the $420? Who cares? Okay, now, here's David. What do you notice about him? He's clean. He's the clean plumber. White, absolutely. Now, the purpose of a hard differentiator is to create a soft differentiator. What's a hard differentiator? A hard differentiator is anything you measure, manage and count. So being on time is a hard differentiator. Something serviced for free is a hard differentiator. What is the soft differentiator? So a hard differentiator is, we'll turn up on time. What's the soft differentiator of that? What's the feeling? What do you feel if somebody promises you that? Yes, and they're reliable, and we can kind of count on them. They're going to clean up afterwards. What do you feel about that? What's the feeling? They care about you. That's a hard differentiator. We can tell where they've cleaned up. Do you agree? The soft differentiator is how people feel. Here's the thing. Most businesses are too busy telling people about their hard differentiators to remind them about the soft differentiators, and when you have a look at David's list, you will see they're all they're hard differentiators that create very clear soft differentiators. Does that make sense? So they tell you, here's what we're going to do and here's how you're going to feel about it. Now, I spend a lot of time in businesses working one-to-one with them to create their pledge. And a lot of cases in the pledge, you're telling people what you don't do. How many of you have ever flown Virgin? How many of you change your behaviour when you fly Virgin versus Qantas? What do? More relaxed? I change my behaviour by having a shirt with a pocket. Because I know I'm going to have to put money in there or a credit card for when the food trolley comes past and I want a sandwich, and I don't want to be reaching down in my pocket, which is when you've got a big ass like me jammed into the seat, so I put money in my pocket. Why? Because they tell you we're not going to do food. We're not going to do that. You're not going to get food. If you want it, you can have it, but we're not going to give it to you. So they're very clear about what they don't do as well as what they do. Okay. Here's some other people in the plumbing business. Not very inspiring. Hot water maintenance. I thought this guy was good, the lone drainer. And Pronto, he was good. These guys are interesting. The 1 hour plumber, we'll give you $50 if we don't turn up. He's just been crushed by the clean plumber. This guy was interesting. Gentle plumbing. I saw these guys in Double Bay. So I drove past them, took a picture of the truck, and I said, look, I rang them up and I said, look, I've got to ask. I've seen environmental plumbers, I've seen clean plumbers, I've seen fast plumbers, I've seen 1 hour plumbers. I've never seen gentle plumbing. How do you do gentle plumbing? I know how you do environmental plumbing. And the lady said, oh, I don't know, sir. And I said, but I need to understand, like, what is the practice of gentle plumbing, because I'm a customer experience designer. How do you do that? And she said, oh, I don't know, sir. I'll put you through to Mr. Gentle. You can ask him. Quite seriously. Okay, now, how do you change the experience of something? You change the experience of something by looking at the component parts of it. Here's what I want you to do. I'd like you to have a look at what are the component parts of your business. Well, actually, that's not it. What I'd like you to do is to take one hard differentiator and work out what the soft differentiator is. Does that make sense? So in your business, you do something that's a hard differentiator, something you measure, manage and count, and you probably promote it, or you may not promote it. But what I want you to do is to figure out what's the hard differentiator and then what's the soft differentiator attached to it. In other words, this is what we do, this is what people are going to feel or get, or here's the meaning of it. Does that make sense? Because I promise you're going to get some things you can take away. So do that now, please. Turn to the person next to you or do it on your table. Oh, please take a hand, point a finger towards the ceiling, don't bend your elbow. Please point to a new leader. Congratulations, well done. Now, I'm not going to get a chance to talk to you about what it is, what you've just talked about. Does it make sense that we've now separated hard differentiators from soft differentiators? What do people buy? They buy soft differentiators because soft differentiators give meaning, impact. Remember I asked on our screen earlier with the magnet? They give impact. Higher the impact, higher the sale. Higher the impact, higher the margin. You want to stop competing on price? Get the impact up. What's the impact of fresh bread? Enormous. Absolutely enormous. I was in a sandwich shop the other day in eastern suburbs and somebody said to me, you've got to come to our sandwich shop. I said, really? Why is that? He said, you've just got to come. I said, fine. So I had a cup of tea and a chicken something sandwich, but the bread was fresh out of the oven, still warm, thick piece, beautiful crust. And I'm looking at this thing, I'm watching the sandwiches going out going, you know what, I'm not doing carbs at the moment. I'm just not eating bread. I've got a no wheat, no white policy. I couldn't resist. It just smelled too good, it looked too good when it went past, and I sunk my teeth into that bread the first thing. I hate it, but it's so good. Now, it's an interactive experience. lovely thing. I was going to say your smile's changed, but it's your person. Okay, now here's the important thing that most people miss. If I've got my little whoopsie doodah thing. No, that's not it. That's the other one. Ah, thank you.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question?
Please do.
So under that services, what's your hard differentiator and what's the soft differentiator? With that sandwich you put.
What's the soft differentiator?
Now, what's the hard differentiator?
Quality. The hard differentiator was the freshness, the quality, the standard of what it was delivered on a special board. It was a designed experience. So this is really, it's a good question. It was a designed experience. They didn't deliver it on a plate. It came out on a thing that looked like a wooden chopping board, like a breadboard. It came stacked separately. It looked different. It smelled different. The people that delivered it, they're Brazilian or Argentinian or something. They've got accents. And super cute. Like the girl that delivered it was just super cute, and the guy that was behind the counter was just Mr. Cool. You know, really, just I kind of walked up to him and went, I hate you. You're so cool. Get away from me. The hard differentiator was all of the individual things that I can go into that business and plot and say to you, here's a piece of hard differentiator, the table, the cup, the breadboard, the way the sandwich is stacked, that's all the hard differentiator. The soft differentiator is the referral that brought me there in the first place. I don't have time for more questions, but I will be here, so I'll come up to me at the break. I'm not running off. Now, here's the big issue that most people have. They tell people their name, they tell them location, but they then tell them the product or what you do. So let me do this with somebody. Volunteer, please. Thank you. What is your business, sir? Joyce Main. Fantastic. Joyce Main. Where are you located? So Joyce Main in Nowra. What are you really good at? You missed the section where we did that. Customer service doesn't differentiate you anymore. But how many in the rest of the room have good customer service? Fantastic, everybody's got that. Why do you have an impact on people's lives? Why do you make a difference? You missed that bit too. How many people have quality product at good prices? Thank you. And thank you, because you're very typical of what the issue is. Stop telling people what you do. Tell people what you're good at. The clean plumber is a plumber. What he's good at is making people feel fabulous because he's clean. Is he aiming for the whole of the market? No, just the people who find it significant and differentiated that he's clean and they are prepared to pay the price. Is that fair enough? Okay, so what does your business do that's different? Won't do it. Lots of other people in here can do that. I'm not trying to be hard on you, I'm just saying that's not going to differentiate you. It's not going to stand you out in the marketplace. Help him. What do they do that's different? Or what is significant?
She had the best range of product or something that service.
Yeah, so's Harvey Norman, the parent company.
A better fit. You know, you've got the ability to fit a product better to the customer than your competitor does.
Yeah, yeah. If I was marketing your business, I'd say we have the best people who will look after you best. And I'll give you an example of this. My wife, an interior designer, as I mentioned, she went into Domain, okay, at Alexandria, big new one there, with a group of people, design students. And one of the women there said they were all looking at the stoves and cooktops and everything else. And my wife, knowing what I do, was standing there next to this person from Domain who said, and somebody came in and said, I'd like to have a look at a cooktop. What's the normal response from somebody in your position? What's the normal response? Yeah, okay, and what's the next? What's the big question everybody expects, folks? What is it? Yeah, and? How much you got to spend? That's the big question that comes up. And this woman was brilliant. If you want to change the outcome, change the question. She said, before we look at any cooktops, tell me how you cook. Because I've got hundreds. Like I've got more than you ever will need. Tell me how you cook. I was looking for a new TV some time ago. I don't have a TV anymore, I got rid of it. But I was looking for a new TV and the guy said to me, he was at Harvey Norman, I said, because they sell a third of all the TVs in Australia because GE, who's a client of mine, does their finance. I said, I want to buy a TV. He said, sir, before we go anywhere near TVs, I need to ask you some questions about how you watch TV. Do you watch sports? Do you watch this? Do you watch that? And I said, why is that important? He said, refresh rates. And he gave me all this technical stuff. He said, but, you know, if I ask you a few questions, I can narrow it down to 2 or 3 choices. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at a wall of choice and you'll be very confused. Is that fair enough? King Furniture. I was in there, somebody went into King Furniture and they said, I want to buy... And the woman said, before we have a look at any couches or anything else that you can sit on, why are you here? Like, what's the problem that's caused you to come in and have a look at a couch? What's she getting someone to do? Explain the issues before we go near a product. Here's the problem. Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. It's also a crummy experience. Tell people what you're good at, don't tell them what you do. So your job is to figure out to tell people what you're good at, don't tell them what you do. We're going to go faster. Stop thinking like a seller, start thinking like a customer, because most sellers just go, good, 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 price, 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 fantastic, and most customers go, I don't know whether that has meaning for me. Now, here are the people who thought like a customer and they lost. Now, it wasn't the tomato sauce, it was the underlining in the mustard that really impressed me. This one was you won't be able to read that. Don't forget to say hello to our Employee of the Month. And it says at the bottom, she may be slow, but she tries. You may have seen in the news about a week ago a registered docket that went out, I think it was in Queensland, that said, don't worry about the F's on table 5. And it was on the docket. I thought this was good. This is an oxymoron. These toilets have been locked for your convenience. I think they've just locked the convenience. I think they've actually got the thing wrong. But they've been locked to make it easier for you. This is one of my favourites. This is a little coffee shop at Camaray where I am now. I watch people who stand at the top of the stairs and kind of do this and look down and they stand at the bottom of the stairs and look up. And why do they do that? Because it's the Camaray Physiotherapy Centre. And they've either got bad backs or bad legs and they've got to go up the stairs to get in and down the stairs to get out, and they're probably not happy about that. That's probably not so good. These people were interesting. I saw this on the south coast down in Sussex Inlet. I have no idea what a Devonshire cappuccino is. I have no idea. But what's the obvious issue? They've made a promise and they've had to correct the promise. There's 3 scones on there and they only put 2 on a plate. And so they have people that sit down and they get their plate of scones and they go... So they had to write 2 scones. Better they should have just crossed one of the scones off the picture, but that's another story. Does that make sense? Promises will come back and bite you if you don't fulfil them. This was a lovely one. I spotted this in America. I was just driving through the back streets of Las Vegas and I saw this. I was there at a conference and thought I'd get off the beaten track, and I'm a mad fan of CSI, so I went to drive through the suburbs. This was lovely. Now, I'm not sure that's actually helping sell the place, but there we are. Is honesty the best? Now, this was I was driving from Las Vegas to Los Angeles. It was fantastic. I rang one of the hire car companies and said, do you have a car you want it taken from Las Vegas to Los Angeles? Because otherwise they charge you a what? A one-way drop-off fee. And they said, yeah, we got one. I said, good. They said, we won't charge a drop-off fee, but we need it there by Friday. I said, I'll be there Thursday night. It's no problem at all. They said, what? I said, what kind of car you got? They said, we got a convertible Mustang. It was summer. I said, what are you going to charge me for it? Oh, well, it'd be cheap because we want it taken, so $35 a day. You have to pay for petrol. I went, oh, I think so. You know what I had to buy? Sunscreen. Thank you. Yes. A hat and a long sleeve t-shirt because the top was not going up on that car. Now, this was on the way there, and it was the truth in advertising. Now, it's kind of Australian, sort of, because it's the outback, but here's their truth in advertising. Bad service, welcome, have a nice day. That's truth in advertising, that really is. Okay, now, here's the engineered experience again. What do you notice about it? It tells you how we treat you. Here are is this a maker or a breaker? This comes from a printer, by the way, for our fellows down the back. This is a customer pledge from a printer. What do you reckon it says? Crap. I'm not going to leave it there for much longer. What it basically says is, you have to do all of this and we might. And if you don't, we'll charge you bunches of money. Is that inspiring? No. How many of you have terms and conditions that look similar? Thank you. Okay, some of you don't even have terms and conditions. Now, where's our coffee shop? Who said, I was talking to somebody about coffee shops earlier. Where was it? Bread. Okay, here we go. This is a coffee shop in Balmain. Now, you notice the bins, you notice the milk crates people are sitting on, and you notice the children and mothers, and the place is full. Now, it's all due to this bloke here. He's the atmosphere creator. When women come in, he does this. Buongiorno, signorina, I've not seen you before. How would you like your coffee today? Bellissima. And she says, hot. Here's the place down that was the one there. It's about the experience, because 3 doors down the road there's a Starbucks, empty. And these people are sitting on milk crates and bins with kids. Okay, Westfield, this is an interesting one. When I parked my car in Westfield, the guy gave me a little clicker. It looked like a car clicker. I said, what's that for? He said, well, this is in the valet parking because I was running late. And he said, oh, so 15 minutes before you want your car, you click this anywhere in the centre and we'll bring you your car. We'll have it ready for you. I went, okay. Hands-free shopping, by the way, is a $5 service. You pay $5 for hands-free shopping. They'll deliver your shopping from whatever store you're in Westfield to the car park, to the valet car park for you. You don't have to pay extra for it. Do you reckon that's good? How much more could you carry, ladies, if you did? How much more could you buy if you didn't have to carry it? Okay. Now, some of you might need a Genius bar. Do any of you have a product that has some technical element to it? How many of you offer a free service just to help customers? The free service to help customers comes with what? While you're helping them, they generally need something else. Okay. Here's the 2 guaranteed profit questions. I promised you this earlier, and we are going to do it now. Now, by the way, marketing doesn't always come out right. Can anybody tell me what that is? It's a banana guard. Certainly it is. What's the problem with it? It doesn't come with batteries. No, no, the problem with it is what?
Bananas aren't always fit that way.
You can fit just about any banana into that. I've tried. Well, because I use it when I'm travelling because I love bananas. But a friend of mine gave it to me who runs a promotional company called Catering by Design, and the problem with it is it's not yellow. That's her corporate colour. And it kind of, see, you do something brilliant and you think, oh gosh, would have worked normally. Okay, now, I need a business for some free consulting for about 5 minutes. Who's going to do that? Thank you very much. What is your name? Yvonne, would you come up here, please? Yvonne, I love your excitement. Now, that low clap you got was a bugger. I could have got that. Please sit down. Thank you very much. Now, Yvonne, what is your business?
HR with ease.
HR with ease. Is it a pharmaceutical product?
Human resources.
Right, I did get that. It was fine. Sorry. Joke went flat. Okay. Now, do you have competitors in the marketplace?
Absolutely.
Could you be one of your competitors?
Could I beat one of them?
Be. Could you be a competitor?
Yeah.
Or could you just let me shop your business? So, sorry, can you be a potential customer? That's the way around. I'm trying to do it this way. So, tell me about your business if you're a potential customer. Who is a potential customer of yours? What kind of prospects do you have?
SMEs.
SMEs. Give me a type. Choose one.
Who have, say, upwards of 20 employees.
Okay, upwards of 20 employees. Right, okay. And you've been having a look at kind of services before, you're using someone in the past, or you've used someone and you're looking around the market. Okay, let's have a look at the fact that you're looking around the market. Okay, so this is how you get business from your competitors. Pens up. You're going to need to write. Don't need to write yet. I'll tell you when to write. But pen's ready. Okay. Now, no. Oh, you've been moved. Oh, you have. Sorry, that's right. For the purposes of the video, thank you very much, Stephen. For the purposes of the video. So, Yvonne, could you tell me, in the past, when you've dealt with businesses like ours, could you tell me what have those businesses done really well? What have you really liked?
They've been really friendly.
Okay. Yep, what else?
Been willing to help.
Okay. Yep.
They've had lots of knowledge
Okay.
about the subject matter.
Yep, what else?
They've provided me with lots of information.
Okay.
Maybe too much.
Well, there may not be anything else, but the people you're working with or have worked with in the past that did a really good job were friendly, helpful, knowledgeable, and they gave you information. Anything else?
If we're working well, then perhaps they followed up and made sure I was happy with the experience.
Okay, so followed up. Okay, great. Anything else? It doesn't have to be. Okay. If you're going to deal with someone in the future, whoever it is, whether it's us or anybody else, could I ask you, what could anybody do better or differently than anybody you've looked after in the past? That's been looking after you in the past. Anybody do anything differently or better?
Perhaps get to know my business better.
Okay, so do better diagnosis.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, anything else? Okay, what's the big one she's missed?
Cost.
Thank you. Just
Okay, cost.
cost. Okay. So I'm willing to bet that, like most people, you're happy to pay if you reckon you've got value for money, but you don't want to be ripped off. So it's really like you're kind of in that zone. Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
So value for money is the really important one. Yes?
Yep.
What have I just said? What have I just said? We're not cheap. But what have I framed? See, if you're going to get something like that, how many of you are in direct sales or sales where you go and visit people? Sometimes people say, oh, I want a better price. Well, we agree. Absolutely we agree. Because I'm sure, like everybody, you're happy to pay for something you think is good value, but you don't want to be ripped off, do you? No. So then what have we changed the concept to? It's about value instead of price. Does that make sense? And they've agreed. They said it. Okay, anything else that they could have done better or differently? Okay, so whoever you deal with in the future has to be somebody who's friendly, helpful, knowledgeable, gives you good information but not too much, will follow up to make sure that everything's being done right. They'll come in and learn more about your business to be more particular for you, and you really want to make sure you get value for money. If you could find a business that did all of those things, is that the one you'd want to do business with? Fantastic. Thank you very much. You get a book for that. Well done. Stay there. Stay there. Thank you very much. Now, what have we just done?
You've isolated all the concerns and closed it off.
Thank you. Well, we haven't closed yet, but what we've done is, what is this list, the well list? Now, here's the challenge. If you ask negative questions, what kind of answers do you get?
Negative.
Right, so, do you want negative answers?
Yes.
No, you don't. You want people going yes. Why? Because it's good. Now, by the way, just while I'm on that, how many of you ever have to have things authorised, otherwise known as signed? Yes? Okay. I taught this to my mortgage broker about 10 years ago, and I had to go and sign a new lease for my car, and he said, this is exciting. When you sign a lease or you sign any kind of document, what do most people do? They go, just sign there, don't they? What's that? That's a symbol of badness. When was the last time you got one of those regularly? Because you were wrong. So on the thing he said, would you mind just authorising that there, please? And I went, yeah, fantastic. Now, let's get back to this because we're friendly, helpful. This is the list of what I already have. This is Yvonne's list of what she already has. What's this?
What's looking for?
The opportunity. So what do you want to most find out from your potential customers? What have you already got you're happy with? Where's the gap between what you've got and what you want? And I'm not going to ask you negative questions because I'm not going to say, well, what don't you like about the people you're with now? Because what will that create? Won't create negativity. In most cases, it'll create, oh, nothing. Why? Because I don't want to admit I'm stupid in choosing the people that I've just chosen to do business with, because that doesn't make sense. So I would have to admit that I was a ninny for doing things that didn't make sense, and I'm still prepared to stick with them. So I want to ask a positive question. What is it that you do that you really like? Here's the list of what I won't give up. Here's the list of what I don't have yet. If I can get... Now, here's the words that this is where you write it down, okay? The video will be available anyway, won't it, Stephen? Yes, okay. So here's the way you do it. So, in the future, whoever you're going to deal with has to be friendly, helpful, follow up, and I've qualified that, give you information, but not too much, follow up. They also have to come in and get to know more about your business. And they have to be value for money. Now, if you could find a business that did all of those things, is that the business you'd want to do business with?
Absolutely.
What are you now going to sell? This. That's all you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about the other two. Because we've got that. You might demonstrate those, but you've got that. Folks, turn to the person next to you and say, moolah. I have got to tell you, those two questions have made me more money than just about any other questions I've ever used in a client setting, because they tell me very quickly what the client wants, and the client says, absolutely, if you do all of those things, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, give her a big hand. Now, I'm going to see now if I can just pop out of there and do something else. And the something else that I want to do is I want to show you the big new currency. I was at a Google seminar last week, and the Google seminar last week, on Sunday, 3 minutes, Google seminar last week, yes, that's fine, was about the new technology. Who's ever heard of Google? Do you reckon they might know some things about the market? They do. Here's what they're saying. Reviews are the new SEO. Do you know what SEO is? Search engine optimization, where you try and get your pages up. Now, you can't see that, so I have to do this. Not that one, Ivan. This one. Okay, can you see that? Yes, you can. Get rid of that one, Ivan. Get rid of that one, Ivan. Last night, now, you've all seen these things here. Now, let me explain to you what a web page looks like when you're looking for something. This stuff up here, see it's different colour behind it? That's paid for. You pay your money to get into that. Of the people that are here, when you're looking on a mobile device, you get this 7 list, the 7 box we call it. What do you notice on that 7 box? Who are you most likely to do business with? One with the most stars, or one that's got any stars. How many of you have been to a restaurant and either changed your mind or said yes because you saw it had good ratings? Or a hotel or something. Now, I looked at a hotel last night because I arrived down here last night and I arrived a day early at the hotel I was supposed to be staying at. Like I just got it wrong. I booked it yesterday, got it wrong. I said, well, look, that's fine. What do I have to do to get a refund? Because, you'll sell the room again tomorrow night. No, we won't. So what do you mean you're going to sell the room tomorrow night? We have a 24-hour cancellation policy which starts at midnight tonight. You're here at 9 o'clock. I'm sorry. That's it. I said, but you're going to sell the room twice. Yes. I said, but you booked through a booking service. It's there, you'll have to speak to them. I said, well, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to come back to me and ask me. I said, well, so it's your decision. No. I ended up having to go down to the Chifley because I got onto What If and got the stars, and that's how I found it. Do you reckon that guy's a dill? Now, I'm not going to tell you the name of the business because I've posted 12 reviews. Well, I posted 1 review, but if you know where to post them, they go to 12 different places. So, would you reckon that's going to change the way people do business with you? Now, here's what Google said. Google said reviews are the new SEO. So if you want to get yourself up the list, reviews are now more valuable because it's what's called social proof. In other words, I'm going to rely on the opinions of other people to inform my opinion. Now, I did a bit of research and I had a look at a curtain business in Wollongong. Guess what? couple of bought ones. Discount Curtains have bought one, and they've also got 2,190 reviews. Do you reckon they're going to stay at the top? We reckon you might do business with them with 2,190 reviews, as opposed to all these down here, the rest of them, who may well have big names, but nothing much. Here's curtain reviews in curtain businesses in Sydney. Which ones are you likely to do business with if I slow that down a bit? Lincraft and Super Shades, if they're close. Does that make sense? Now, here's the question. How do you get reviews? How do you post them? Don't know. Sorry? Oh, yeah, they do. So here's the challenge. Lots of businesses have a situation where they have TripAdvisor and Yelp and all that sort of stuff. And I saw that that was a major problem because most businesses don't. That's specific businesses, and they're generally in hospitality and travel and accommodation. That's pretty much where they are, okay? So I decided to set up a business which does this for every business. Any business, but the difference is we will do the surveys for you, we'll get the feedback, and then we'll post it. Why? Because depending on where you post it, it depends on what impact you get. Because everybody says, I want Google reviews. It's not necessarily all that easy to get Google reviews all the time. Would you agree with that? Or you don't know. So what I've done is to set up a business which is about getting reviews. So what you do is we get you feedback. Turn the tape off for a sec. If the feedback's not good, no, that's fine. If the feedback's not that flash, we give it to you. If the feedback's really terrific, we post it. And we give people a link on the end that says if you want to go to Facebook or Google Plus or Twitter or those places, you can do it here automatically. And you might have an incentive to bring people back to your business. Would any of you be interested in that kind of thing? Okay, if you would, I'm going to leave my iPad at the back of the room. It's going to have a little thing in it, so either put your business card down on the table or put your details on the iPad, and I'll get you the information. Now, just also put your details in there if you want a copy of the presentation. In fact, I'll send the copy of the presentation to you, and you can send it out because everybody gets it. Is that fair enough, rather than me having to do that? So that's good. Now, turn to the person next to you and please tell them the best thing you've got out of the presentation so far. Go. Okay, folks. Thank you for that. I've just been asked what were the two guaranteed profit questions. The two guaranteed profit questions are, what did you do? What did anybody else do well? What could we do differently? And that's the two guaranteed profit questions. Remember the close at the end? That's fine. Okay, now, over to you because we're going to have some question time. Is that right? Fantastic.
Guys, did you enjoy Ivan Frangi? If you did, can you please get up on your feet and give him a big round of applause? Get up on your feet because I think he deserves it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thanks very much. Excellent. Now, by the way, some of you have a major advantage in the feedback business and the review business. Nothing. And lots of businesses, there is a very interesting opportunity here. First to market wins in reviews because you can't backdate a review. So first people to get in do well. Okay, I'll leave my iPad at the back.
Magic. So much content. So much great content. So what we're going to do now, we're going to spend the next 5 minutes just having a really casual chat. But what we want from you guys is to find out what you enjoyed the most and what you really got out of Ivan's presentation that you think you're going to be able to take out and implement into your businesses next week. What is it? Go. Chuck your hands in the air. Yes.
For me, it was the customer advocate, so it was something that I was unfamiliar with, never heard about, and never had taken into a perception before. It's something that we can use well in my business and whilst I'm growing through my business as well and proceeding further in the business.
Yep.
So that was a very important one for me that taught me a lot and I appreciate it greatly.
Why are Google getting excited about what's happening here? Because that's advocacy. But it's it's called social proof. So millions of people can find out that you're good because you get other people to tell them. It's creating advocacy automatically through a system.
And it's there 24/7.
Yeah, never turn it off.
Yeah, absolutely. What about anybody else, guys? Put your hands up in the air. Yes, Wade.
Yeah, one thing though, I've always known, but I don't really think about it that much, is that when, you know, I always think of myself as like the customer when I drive into the place, but I don't think about the little bit of extras that you can always do, like that will bring them back every time.
Yeah. Look, the thing about it is you don't have to do anything spectacular because you've only got a certain number of resources in your business. It's not like you can go and throw an unlimited budget at this. The important thing to do is to choose something that you're really good at and emphasise that and keep delivering it. And if it's significant, people keep coming back. The clean plumber is a plumber. He just has a cleaning system at the end. And he's got a few other things going with him as well. But that's enough to differentiate him in the marketplace for people that want his kind of service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, Rod.
Defining what we're good at.
Defining what we're good at.
Yeah.
The questions are something I've done in a different format. The questions are something that I've done in a different format, but actually coming up with a definition of what we're good at so we can make it significant.
Yep. See, the brilliance of this here is you're going to get the customer to tell you what they want. This is what's significant to you. I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to ask you. Because the biggest problem with most salespeople is that the speaking to listening ratio is reversed. It should be 70% listening, 30% speaking. In most cases, it's reversed. And why? They don't know how to ask good questions. A whole other story. But if you ask this, it is, I'm going to tell you what's important to me. I'm going to tell you in a nice, easy, gentle way. Thank you.
Great question. Great, Rod. Now, how long do these guys need to spend thinking about this? Is this something you need to ponder on for a month? Now that you guys have listened to this presentation, is it something you need to spend months on, or is it a day where you recognise what you're good at, the emotion that you can evoke from your brand or your product or your service? How long?
It's 5 minutes to 5 days to 5 months to 5 years. When David Hall, who designed the Clean Plumber, was going broke. His business was going broke, and he'd taken it over from his father, and he didn't want to do badly. So he sat down with his wife for 3 days with a whiteboard and pulled it all to pieces and said, now here's how you do it, very quickly. Here are the breakers that people feel about our industry or our job or our business. Here are the makers. So what can you do to take a breaker and turn it into a maker? Does that make sense? So the breaker for plumbers is we turn up late. The maker is we'll turn up on time. The breaker is we don't turn up with everything we need. We have to keep going away to other jobs. David Hall says we get a plumber to talk to you before we go anywhere near the job because the plumber's going to ask different questions to the standard receptionist. Does that make sense? So you figure out the list of breakers. What are people, and how do you find out? You just ask people. You say, what do you think people think about my business or the business I'm in? And they'll give you the list. And you just got to figure out which of those breakers you want to address. Don't address all of them, address one. Choose one. Just go for that one. When that one's done and systemised, move on.
Brilliant. So this is as little as 5 minutes, half a day, 1 day. Does everybody understand how important this is?
Now, you'll be sensitised now. Every time you go into a business, you'll be going, that was a breaker. That wasn't very significant. Or it was highly significant in all the wrong ways. Because we've all had this experience where we've gone into a business and we've gone, I don't really want to do business here, even though you want what they've got. Now, that's otherwise known as the effort score. And the big thing that's having a look around at the moment is Google customer effort score. Customer effort score is how much effort is it for me to do business here? Because if it's too much effort, it's a price-price ratio. Here's the price I have to pay. Are they equal? Does the price outweigh the prize? If pain to gain, whichever way you want to put it. Is there more gain than pain, more pain than gain? That's the way you look at it. And that's how you look at your makers and breakers. If a breaker is not that big a deal, don't deal with it. Don't do it. If it's a big deal to your customers, address it. Simple as that.
You've got two types of customers too. You've got the walker and the talker, and you've got to encourage the walker to be a talker to find out what's wrong.
How do you do that? I told you how to do it.
Yeah.
Change the question. Because most people go, well, what's the standard question when he comes in? You right? You okay there?
You asked the right question.
Can I help you? What's the answer everybody gives? No, I'm pretty good. Pretty good. That's why the lady at King Furniture was so impressive. I know you're here to look at furniture, so before you look at anything, could I just ask you, what brought you here? Like, why come in?
One of the things I was told, like if someone's looking directly at something, because the customer's instant response would be, no, I'm right. Now if they're looking at something else, well, they're looking at the fridge or they're looking at the TV.
Yeah.
The first response is yes, and then you instantly engage the customer and you
Yeah.
take them away from their original train of thought.
I'd like to put a why in front of that because I'm a smart ass. And if you said to me, you're looking at a fridge, I go, yeah, that's a fridge, I'm looking at it. And what I'm saying is in my mind I might do that. I might not verbalise it, but I might go, duh, that's pretty obvious. So I might want to say, ask you a question of, are you here to look at fridges or are you just passing the fridge section and thought this looks interesting?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And it's a bigger question. No, I'm not here to look at fridges, I'm just passing it. I thought I'd have a look. What I'm here to look at is a heater.
Yeah.
Is that fair enough? But I had to go past the fridges to get to the heater.
Brilliant. And it's interesting to think about the experience rather than the sale.
Yeah.
Rather than just going, bang, what do you want? How can I sell it to you? How can you make this experience more pleasurable?
Yeah.
And if we get a sale from it, which you're more likely to, because you haven't just gone bang and knocked it on the head and addressed it from the off.
People make decisions on emotion and then justify them with logic. Ask anybody who's married. Because emotionally they got all excited. And here's the question. Go 2 minutes. You go out on a date. Are you married or are you still happy? Right. Okay, fine. Sorry, it's a two-part question. Are you married, you're still happy? Do you have kids or are you still rich? So how long have you been with your partner? 14 years. Does he have some annoying habits? Yeah. What did you think about those annoying habits when you first went out with him? No, and they could have been cute. You know, well, you kind of do that, it's fine. But if he sat there on the first date and kind of went, you'd be going, I'm sorry, I don't want to do that. But he does it after 14 years, you go, you're a grub. Because you made an emotional decision, then you back it up with logic. Because if I ask you what was good about your partner, you give me all these logical reasons why. Does that make sense? You probably wouldn't say, you know what, I just feel good about him. Yeah, I know that too, but that probably wouldn't lead the list. Does that make sense? You know, he's a good provider and he does this and he's tall and all that sort of stuff. Well, whatever the list is, we make emotional decisions, then we back them up with logic. The challenge is, in most businesses, we try and sell the logic before we tap into the emotion. The emotion opens the heart, the logic opens the brain. It doesn't matter which one you open, providing you cover the other one. Is that fair enough? But most businesses, what people are trying to do, because they don't have the designed experience, is they're trying to cover the logic, and the logic doesn't press because we don't get involved emotionally. That's why, you know, bread, we get involved emotionally. Yeah, yes, please. I'll do this one. I've got one last story to finish, and then we'll take it. So, yes, please.
The sector that I work in, which is heavy engineering.
Yes.
It's not emotional, it's just a straight transaction.
Rubbish.
How do you engage an emotional transaction? To me, it's just a straight transaction. You're looking to
What kind of machinery do you sell?
heavy industry automation.
What sort?
Computer stuff is probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
It makes things move.
Do you use a PC or a Mac?
Neither.
What kind of computer do you use?
It's proprietary Allen Bradley, PLC, Schneider.
Okay.
SCADA.
Right. One of the things that happens in your types of industry is the experience becomes more complex because you have more influencers in the buying proposition. People will make emotional decisions. They will just tell you it's logical. And here's how you work it out. And I was doing some work with Boeing. They have slightly big machines. And they were saying that what happens is people walk into an aircraft and make an emotional connection with the aircraft, and then they look for the logic as to why this was the one they need to buy. Now, it depends on where you're selling, because the accountant's area, the CFO, he looks at a lot of the logic. The user buyer looks a lot more at the emotion and the usability. Have you ever done something and you thought, you know what? Whoever designed this clearly never used it. You get the emotional buyer to tell the financial buyer what's necessary and you'll be fine. But it's the emotional buyer that actually uses it. Does that make sense? And it's called a multifaceted complex sale. I'm happy to chat to you about it at lunch or at the break or something else. Now, one more story and I'll finish up with that. How many of you, sorry, I've just got to tell this story quickly. I've got to put my jacket on to do it because it's an important one. This is really important. I was sitting on an aircraft on the way to Melbourne. Really nice. My client had sent me business class. I'm sitting in row 2. And onto the aircraft gets a guy who is beautifully dressed. Italian linen suit. American shoes, leather, beautiful shoes. Silk tie. He looked immaculate. And he wasn't carrying a briefcase, which means he had underlings to do that. He had plebeians. People who are really powerful don't carry stuff. They don't need to, somebody else does. And he sat in seat 1A. Now, I knew the guy had not been in the Qantas Club because I'd been in the Qantas Club and I would have spotted him. He'd been in the Chairman's Lounge, which is the space that has nothing on the door. It's the Grand High Poo Bars. He came and he stood at the front of the plane. He just took his jacket off. He stood in his seat, took his jacket off and went like this. And the flight attendant saw him and said, "Oh, sir, can I take your jacket?" He went, "Yeah, fine." So he sat down. And the next thing I see, now I'm sitting behind him, right? So the next thing I see is his hand go up. Now, I don't know about you. My dickhead meter's going off at this stage. I mean, how rude is that? Anyway, the flight attendant walked over to him and said, "Can I help you, sir?" And he said, "I want a scotch." It's 11 o'clock in the morning. I want a scotch. Now, she has a problem. And the major problem is this. This is a Grand High Poo Bar. She knows that because she's got a manifest that tells her who every customer is in business class, by name, by status level, the whole lot. This guy has probably millions of frequent flyer points and she's going to have to say no. Have to. No choice. Why? It's against the law to open a bar unless you're at cruising altitude. At cruising altitude, you can give him what he wants. On the ground, you can't. Federal regulation. Now, here's the problem. She has to offend, potentially, this very important, very connected customer. So here's what she did. She leaned over to him and she said, "Yes, sir. As soon as we're at cruising altitude and I can actually get to the bar, I'd love to bring you back a scotch. Would you like ice or water or both with that? And in the meantime, because you're thirsty, can I get you a glass of orange juice or a glass of water?" And he looked up, pissed off. He knew he'd just been totally outmanoeuvred. And here's what had happened. And it's one of the core rules of delivering a customer experience. Don't ever tell people what you can't do and you don't have. Always tell them what you can do and you do have. People don't care about what you can't do and you don't have. They care about what you can do and you do have. And the more you do that, the more you enable customers to do business with you because they get a better experience because you don't start out with no's. And you don't start out with, "Oh, we can't do that, it's not possible, we don't have it in stock, it's not available, we can't deliver it. Here's what we can do, here's what's possible." Is that fair enough? Now, you guys are at a possibility program for the next 2 days. That's why I wanted to tell you this story. I want you to think about when everybody's talking to you about all sorts of things, and I see some friends of mine at the back who are going to speak to you, cruise partners of mine, and they're going to tell you some wonderful things, and your mind will either be, "I don't know whether we can do that, I don't have enough brain width, stock, money, whatever," or it will be, "I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I might think about how to manage it." Okay? So you can either adopt things or adapt them. Adapt is, "I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's probably a good idea." Adopt is, "I can do that right away." Okay? You guys have got a great opportunity and a great learning experience by somebody who really cares about you. And I'm not running away. He's asked me to stay for the day so that in case you've got any questions or anything else, please do that. If you want to know more about how to get your social proof up on the web really easily so you don't have to touch it and bring in more business, I'll leave my iPad at the back and you can just type your details in. Fair enough? Folks, don't thank me. Thanks, Stephen, for
Thank this guy. He's amazing. That is awesome. Someone you can listen to for days is Ivan Frangi, and actually all of our speakers are people you can listen to and get so much value from a number of days rather than just the short sessions we do have. But guys, please put your hands together again for Ivan Frangi. What a great presentation.